Hello, all, and welcome to Cake Fest, where the asexual community takes on sexual media one TV show at a time. On today's hit list, we have Game of Thrones Season 1. Okay, before I even get started on the review or my comments on it, I have a serious question for the hardcore fans. Later on in the books or in the TV show, does it ever explain why there's a man in this who has no beard, but has these sideburns that he's grown out really long and has tied into a knot, into a ponytail under his chin, so it has the appearance of a beard? He has no beard, he has grown out sideburns that he's made into a beard under his chin. Why has he done this? Why has he done such a horrible, weird thing? I've got to know, because he just keeps popping up in the show. I don't even know his name yet. And it's just weird and creepy. And it literally, at this point, is haunting my dreams. I've never seen anything like it before. I'm serious here. Who does that? Why would you do that? Seriously, I don't get it. Anyways, on with the review. The first season follows Eddard Stark. Yeah, I'm going to mispronounce everyone's name in this, so just bear with me, okay? Played by Sean Bean, who is requested to become the Hand of the King. While getting used to his new duties, Eddard stumbles upon a conspiracy and soon finds his very life on the line. Meanwhile, nomadic warriors known as the Dothraki tribe have plans to try and conquer the kingdom. Alright, there's a lot to go over in this show, so I'm going to summarize and go over the pros and the cons. First off, the pros. I think the number one impressive thing about this series is just how much hard work and effort was put into making the world. Everything is really well done. The props are great. The kingdoms and towns are really detailed. You get this real sense that you are in this other world. Also, the acting is great, specifically from Sean Bean and Peter Dinklage. I can really see why Dinklage has now become so sought after in Hollywood. His character, Tyrion Lannister, I hope I pronounced that right, is extremely charismatic and oddly charming. Almost every scene he was in had a big grin stuck on my face. Then we got the plot itself, dripping with backstabbing and conspiracy theories. You can get entangled in it rather easily. Plus, as you may have guessed with me being a horror fanboy, I love me some old school gore and random violence, and this show got it by the bucket load. A horse gets decapitated in this. It's awesome. It's also wrong, you shouldn't cut off horses' heads, but it's still pretty awesome. Like, pretty blasted awesome. Lastly, near the end of the first season, the show pulls a really gutsy stunt. I don't want to spoil it, but it's pretty darn unforgettable. But now for the cons. There is a bit too much plot. I found it was way too easy to get lost with, and there was just simply too many things to keep track of. I needed my dad to explain the plot like a good 6 or 7 times. Not a good sign. Also, it's a bit slow to get going. It kind of felt like a lot of filler was added to stretch out the story. I suppose that's understandable since this was a book series stretched out into a TV show. Lastly, there was a subplot with Khal Drogo, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and Daenerys Targaryen. I'm just going to call her the Dragon Woman, okay? Because these names are really hard to pronounce. She's the Dragon Woman. Okay, I despise this subplot with said Dragon Woman. In the pilot episode, Dragon Woman is forced to marry nomadic warrior dude, so her brother can get his hands on an army. After being forced to marry, Dragon Woman is sexually assaulted. She's raped by nomadic warrior guy. It's a scene that happens in the pilot of the first episode, and it's pretty disturbing. In the second episode, Daenerys gets some advice on how to please Khal in the bedroom. Now this kind of makes sense, because she's trapped in this horrible relationship with a man that just might kill her at a moment's notice. So if she can make him happy, then he might not flat out murder her. You know, people do desperate things in horribly abusive, domestic violence-based relationships, and that's what this is. So it's a survival thing. She wants to please him, so he won't kill her. I get that. Purely survival thing. Makes sense. But then in episode number 3, they are shown as a loving couple. Out of the blue. And then she gets pregnant with his kid and is happy about it. For no reason. And spoilers, at the end of the season, he gets sick and is on death's door, and she is crying over the fact that he may die. She even screws over her life completely in an effort to save him. Why? How in the world did they become a loving couple? Like, they're in love. There's no ifs and or buts. But he raped her. She has no reason to like this man. If the idea is that she has Stockholm Syndrome now, then it's very poorly conveyed. The writers literally forgot the fact that in the pilot this was a forced marriage, and she hated it, and she hated this man. How do you forget something like that? How? Her being raped and forced into marriage was literally the plot. She went from fearing for her life to loving the man who raped her. Like, it's really disturbing stuff in this show, in the span of 3 episodes. And it just happens because. Seriously, I don't get it. The whole season, I was looking forward to her cutting this guy's head off. And it ends with her crying over his death. It's such a, like, come on! Why? Anyways, there's still a lot of good elements. Like the horse getting its head cut off. That was pretty awesome. About the show. So in the end, I give it a 7 out of 10. Despite the very weak spots. Now it's time for the part you probably actually came here to hear. Just how bad are the sex scenes? Well, some asexual people can find sex in of itself arousing and can quite enjoy a good sex scene in a show or film. And you better hope that's the case for you. Otherwise, all the sex scenes are pretty much just pointless filler and can even get pretty tiresome. Especially when you are really into the plot and you just want to get back to it. So if you are sex repulsed, get ready to bring along your remote for the good old fast forward button. You're going to need it. And that's my take on Game of Thrones. Lots of good elements, a couple of very bad elements. But the main things that are good are the characters and the world itself. And that really carries the show. There was even some new characters introduced in the last 2 episodes that seemed really interesting. So yes, I will probably give season 2 a try, even though I had some complaints with this season. But speaking of the complaints, what is with all the stuff I review having elements of rape culture and rape in it? Like first we had 50 Shades of Grey, then we had Teeth, then we had the rape culture jokes in 40-Year-Old Virgin, and then we got this show. Seriously, this is supposed to be the asexual community's take on sexual media, not rape culture 101. Like, this is disturbing subject matter. Can I get a break from this? Please, just please, something light and fluffy and fun and joyous and charming. What's next on the hit list? I Spit on Your Grave. Sounds like an interesting title. Wonder what that's about.